Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am Lee. This is JLeesCorner. This is my part two, okay, of the Iyanla Fix My Life Season 7, Episode 1, because it was just too much for them 2 hours, and I could not get it all done in one video because I had to break it on up, okay? So make sure to watch part 1 because this is part 2, okay? So let's continue where we left off. So Shay, after the complete fool, got upset or whatever, and then said she wasn't gonna stay, she gone, and she left. And Iyanla said, well, okay, she gone, she can't come back and talk to me, okay? Because she was too damn disrespectful, okay? So now it's day 2. And Iyanla and Coach Denora is talking about what happened the day before. Denora brings up, Denora is a counselor who works, a coach who works with the people too on the show. But she brings up how Shay embodied the behavior that she said she came here to change. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people get caught up in those patterns, and then the whole foolishness ensues, and that's what we had yesterday. She was what she came to change, and ain't nothing we can do about that and whatnot. Now, Iyanla feel like, you know what I'm saying, Shay's actions and how she acted out matched how her mama would deny things that her mama had said previously. So they both have these ways of blaming someone else for something that they caused, and then it causes the whole situation and whatnot. But Iyanla makes it clear. Like, if Shay's family wants to deal with her to work on some things and whatnot, if they want to work with her, we can set that up. However, she can't, that we can give them a safe space to have that conversation, okay? But she could not come bow at my throne. She could not come talk to me because of her disrespect. Now, the word she used, she can't come bow at my throne, I don't want nobody to get upset with that, because we all should look at ourselves as queens and whatever. But I feel like her point was she can't have an audience with me no more because she could not respect me in the first place. Is to have a general conversation. I feel like what we saw in the episode, they probably didn't even show us the worst of it, okay? Because who knows how bad Shay got. Anyway, so Iyanla then meets with Sandra, okay? And Sandra brings up how she now wonders if she was actually a bad mom. She's like, I just don't know now. Like, if I was a bad mom, or was I just, not the best of a mother or whatever. And then she's like, well, today you're going to hear some things about yourself that you're not going to like. And what do you do when you usually don't like something? And Sandra said, like, when I feel like I don't like something, what I do is I will, say, no, that's not true, that's not true. And that's what usually happens. However, it's like, okay, instead of doing that, I want you to, just take a deep breath and pause instead of denying what it was that you heard that you did not like. Okay, just take a little breath and leave it be that and whatnot. And so Yana also had gave her some homework the day before to write down like her kids' favorite color or favorite food, or these some of their favorite things. And she said she realized overnight that she did not know that stuff about her children. But she then said, well, I wonder if they know that about me. Like, if they know any of that about me. And I like how Iyanla said, you know what? You have to be a soft place for them to land and to fall on. So them not knowing that about you isn't even the point, because you can't do tick for tat with them. So if they don't know something, you can't be like, well, see, they don't know. That ain't how it's supposed to be. And I'm like, let her know what it's supposed to be. So we see that little thing and whatnot. I do like how they're talking like old, rich, black women or whatever. So she then has a conversation with the brothers, okay, with MJ and with Joe. And she like, y'all think the main issue is Shay. And that's actually not true. Y'all all do things that y'all have been taught over the years. Like, it was embedded in y'all to do certain things. Like, Shay always acts out. Joe, you go to work all the dang on time. And Marcus, you run away from things. So y'all all have a way of doing things just in different ways, okay? She brings up how Joe, how does your relationship with your mama mirror that of the one with your wife? And he was like, well, I've never been able to really speak truthfully and honestly or whatever, and those are some similarities, between my mom and my wife. So I get what you mean. Because his wife is coming there today, and she tells him, like, before you meet with your wife, I want you to have, an honest, open conversation with your mama. So we're going to have that happen before your wife gets here later today. Because I need to know, like, what, do you want to say to your mama? And MJ says, well, I want to say what I needed you to know is it affected me that you didn't give me physical and verbal love as a child. Joe says kind of the same thing. Well, I missed the level of intimacy that I needed as a child. Okay, we had those two conversations. But she then asked MJ, well, what would you want to say to your big brother? Because this whole time they was first focusing on Shay. They were then focusing on their mama. But now she has them realize there are things that y'all have not said to each other just as brothers. And MJ gets real quiet and he gets very emotional, like he started crying and everything. And then, Iyanla advises Joe, like, you can embrace your brother, it's okay. They hugging and everything. And MJ, I feel like it's the first words, or this is the first time he's probably said this to his brother. He said, I felt like you abandoned me. I didn't have a brother to guide me in life because daddy wasn't there. You were the only man around for me to look up to, but I didn't get that. And then Joe gets emotional. He gets a little teary-eyed too. And then Iyanla explains that Joe, like, you didn't do anything wrong, Joe. MJ is just sharing his experience and what his feelings were with you. But it's not as if you wronged him in some kind of, on purpose way or whatnot. And MJ brings up how, he had jealous moments as a kid because he felt like, I've always seen you get attention in this way or the other way, and I always struggle with knowing if I was good enough, for anybody and whatnot. And Joe, say, I hear you, please forgive me. I never knew this. I'm saying I was just trying to figure out a way to have a better life and to get out of the situation. I had this tunnel vision, and that tunnel vision, I now realize has been backfiring in different places in my life. And it's a good thing that he said I had tunnel vision focusing on myself, so much so that I didn't realize all the ways I was fucking up other parts of my life and making things backfire in my own progression. He then said to MJ, like, I see in you, a kind-hearted, fly superstar, and not even a superstar in the way that, the world thinks of a superstar, but in, just as you as a man. And I think sometimes siblings need to hear from siblings that they see greatness in you, even if the greatness in you is simply that you are, a human being, person, a man, or whatever it may be. And that was really cute. They embrace and they hug. They both were, emotional or whatever. And then she let them both go outside to kind of just have moments to themselves, off camera. And I'm like, that was cool. That was a whole good thing and whatnot. And we then have her bring in their mama, okay? Mama comes in, Mama Sandra, and it's a whole conversation and whatever. Iyanla advises the mama, you need to give them permission, to be honest with you. Because if they feel like she is too, what's the word? If they feel like she can't handle their truth, they won't be fully honest. So tell them to be fully honest with you. And she's like, I need y'all to be honest. Say what you're gonna tell, girl. Say what you're gonna say. So Joe's like, I needed more love and affection as a child from you. I have always struggled with who I was supposed to be because I don't have certain skills in life, like how to let people in. Mainly because you never showed me your feelings, because, I molded myself after that. You didn't show me your feelings. So now it means that as an adult, I don't show people my feelings. And so that has kind of, hurt the way I move now as an adult based on what I learned from you as a child. And she has to kind of repeat what she heard him say. And she said what she heard from that was, I heard you say I was a strong woman, but that was just an act. I was really broken and hurt and trying to protect my family the best way I knew how. And I like how Iyanla stepped in and said, well, let me explain what he meant. And Joe, if I'm saying something that you didn't mean in your statement, stop me. And she said what he said was, you were not the mom he needed you to be. You were mean and you were emotionally distant. And because of that, for him, he focuses on like doing stuff, and he don't know how to be himself with people. And I like how she explained it, because her saying, I heard you say I was a strong woman, wasn't fully what he said. That's what she wanted him to say, because again, her version of his truth has a distortion to it, okay? And then Iyanla saying, no, what he said was, you were not the mom he needed you to be. Because had she said that, that would have put some blame on her. So in some way, she wanted to not be the blame for how he felt. You know, even if it was an unconscious thing and how she worded what she thought he said. It's the thing to where she didn't fully understand what he meant by what he said, okay? And Sandra, like, I know I hurt you. I'm so sorry, you know what I'm saying, that I hurt you, and I'm asking you to forgive me. What I will say is, even though the mom has these moments of not fully accepting or understanding or expressing herself correctly to take on what she did, I still feel like she was genuine in telling them that she didn't mean it and that she was sorry and asking for forgiveness. I do believe the way she was expressing herself was, an honest, true moment. Where sometimes we see moms on here and they be full of shit. I don't think in this moment that she was full of shit. I can say that, and Joe also was like, I can, forgive you. But he brings up how he was programmed to not communicate so much, that doing this way of communication is a whole new feeling. And as he said that, he was smiling. People don't get how, just being able to fully address your truth and clear, effective communication can lift a whole weight off your shoulders. And him saying like, this is so new to communicate in this way, like this, to be honest and open. So it's then MJ's turn. Okay, now MJ already crying. Okay, because as we see, he's the youngest. Okay, a little bit like that, and he's the middle child. No, he is the youngest because Shay's the middle child. But he still is emotionally attached to all these things. And he said, like, as a child, I felt really lonely. Girl, I felt really lonely. He said, I didn't get any affection from you because you were so strong. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get any hug from you, or any love. You didn't even acknowledge when I did something good. So for him, it was confusing that his father, who was so far away, but would call and, and talk to him or whatever and tell him, how much he loves him. He didn't get how his mom, who was in his presence, you know what I'm saying, couldn't give that same love and affection in person. And he said, I felt everyone else got some kind of attention except me. Even if it was Shay was getting, the ignoring attention from the mama, Joe was getting attention because he was the oldest and probably doing the best because Joe's a doctor. He felt like I just had nothing. And so, the mama then starts crying because she see how hurts and how lonely MJ has felt his whole life from her. And she's, in her hands crying like, I didn't know, I didn't know how to love you that way. I'm just so sorry. And she gets up and go hug her son. And it was funny because Iyanla kept on saying, you gotta hug him in the bosom, because some people don't get, when your people hug you to the bosom, it's the softness and the warmness of the fluff of the bosom that just kind of makes the person feel like, oh, okay, it'll be okay. It's that comfortness of it all. But she gets up, hugs her son, and as she's hugging him and she's rubbing his hair, like, I just didn't know how, but I hear you. I'm listening, and I'm here for you. And again, I didn't feel any bullshitness in this aspect of the mama, talking to the kids or whatnot. So Iyanla brings up to them that, they all say how, like, how they don't realize that Shay is the most sensitive out of all of them. Okay, and that is why she behaves the way that she does. One, because she's the middle child that was caught up in all of their issues. So now, how they are feeling inside, everything that they hold in, that they don't let out, she lets it out in her rude, and mean behavior. That she is the definition of the example of everything that they choose to keep inside. She lets it all out and everything. And so she tells them, let your mama know what happened yesterday with Shay. And so Joe basically said, well, she basically told Iyanla to fuck you. That's what basically happened. And the mama gets upset. Like, where is she? I'm just so disappointed she would do that. I'm like, but why, mama? Because that's how she acts, but it's whatever. Maybe she thinks Shay would act right on the show. Shay don't never act right. Don't leave that being whatever. And so Iyanla brought up, you're so ready to come at her how you always do. That kind of makes her be the one that's the wrong one. And how about you come at her differently? How about you say, Shay, I am so sorry that I didn't show you how to be a better woman. Please forgive me. And what she did was she saw the mama about to do the same action that she always has done to Shay that never gets a good reaction, and she corrected it and gave her a different way to handle Shay to hopefully get through to her, okay? And I love what she said. She said, you have to do this differently because Shay's heart is broken. And there is a difference between holding someone accountable versus blaming them. And Shay has always felt like they blame her. And so Iyanla sees that. It's like, I need them to start holding her accountable without blaming her for whatever her actions was. So we then see Shay gets a phone call from her mama and MJ. Because she like, if y'all want her here, you can call her and talk to her if that's what y'all want. So MJ and the mama called or whatever. And Shay said, are y'all still around those evil people? Iyanla was on an ego trip, want to cuss me out and shut me down. She wants to bring up old stuff, open old wounds, because she wants to have a war of words. I said, who said that? Where that come from? The amount of delusion in Shay is amazing. She then brings up how, to prove a point to me, she wants to have y'all there without me. And MJ said, look, no one is shutting you out. Like, that ain't what it is. We want you to come tomorrow so that we can get to a better place within the family, whatever. Shay then says, none of y'all will be there without me. So when I was X'd out, all of y'all should have walked off. I was like, then how was any of this about fixing something? Shay came on this show for a check, whereas her siblings and her mama at least came to be open to the process. The fact that Shay said, if I couldn't be here, y'all all should have left. Meaning, if I can't get my shine, y'all shouldn't either. That to me means she wasn't about fixing shit. Shay is full of shit. Even if she felt disrespected by Iyanla, it was a way to handle that. But to say y'all wouldn't be there without me, y'all should have left too. I'm like, girl, bye. Now, MJ explains, like, look, she had something planned before she was going to allow you to speak. But, it wasn't about her shutting you down. That wasn't what it is. Shay, like, I'm not dealing with a process that won't allow me to speak. The fact that she don't get it's a process. And it's not about you. It's about the whole family. And sometimes in counseling and therapy, you have to allow people to tell you, be quiet right now. Because right now you have to take in information. Take it in first. Shay was so adamant to get her point across, she missed the whole point of everything. And that's why I say Shay full of shit. Anyway, Sandra took Iyanla's advice and she did not start to blame Shay. She's like, look, I hear you, I love you, I care about you and your platform and your vision, and I want you to come back so we can do this. So will you come back to do this? Now, we didn't hear her response, but of course we know she came back. So we then see Iyanla talking with Joe. Talking with Joe about his marriage, whatever. His wife, Dr. Brandy, is there, and they're going to be chit-chatting today. Now, he brings up for him, if things aren't good in his work life or his professional life or whatever, that impacts him personally. And I'm like, that ain't good or whatever. So we do get to meet his wife, Dr. Brandy or whatever. And, she say She from the suburbs of Detroit. Let me be clear. Okay? Let me be clear about something. There is no suburbs of Detroit. Okay? That does not exist. Detroit is Detroit. Point blank period. If anyone say they're from the suburbs of Detroit, they live in they lying. They are from a completely different city than Detroit. When someone say where you from, you should say whatever city you're from. It kind of irked my nerve. I'm from the suburbs of Detroit. There are no suburbs of Detroit, okay? There's Detroit, there's Troy, there's Southfield, there's Roseville, there is Sterling Heights. There are different cities here. There is no suburbs of Detroit. And I mean that with every fiber of my being. I am from Detroit. Born and bred, okay? Hazelwood, Linwood, all up and through, okay? NFL for life. Girl, I said the suburbs, girl, it irks me. I'm like, the fuck? You not from Detroit. You're not. You're not. You're not. And when you're not from Detroit, you don't say I'm from the suburbs of Detroit. You say I'm from Warren. I'm from Roseville. I'm from Novi. You made me piss me off. I want to make that clear. She ain't from the D at the all. Anyway, Brandy brings up her initial purpose of coming to the show was in support of Shay, okay? But she's here to talk about her and Joe. She admits they both have deception or like half truths in their marriage or whatever. How they don't know how to speak on any real intentions, like with money, the relationship or whatever, even parenting. Like there's these things that they just don't, they're not honest about their intentions. She brings up how she loves him and she does want to stay in the marriage. However, she is nervous because she doesn't want. No, she says she wants to fix things even though she's nervous. Okay, but she does want to work on their marriage. And I say, well, that's a okay thing to do or whatever. So we then see her and Joe, meet up and talk together. Ignore the bricks on the ground. That's part of the little exercise or whatever. So they talking and she admits, he puts a lot on me. And it was funny because the bricks were built up as a wall between them. And as she started talking about all the things that he puts on her, the brick wall fell down into her lap. And I honestly is that a representation of what happened? She's like, yeah. And no one pushed it to my knowledge or whatever. It just fell over. I'm like, that's kind of crazy or whatever. Anyway, she brings up how, he kind of makes her be solely responsible for the kids' welfare. Like she's fully accountable for their finances or whatever. And, how she feels alone because he focuses mostly on him. And that when he talks to her, it makes her feel very small because, he is always negligent with his words. She brings up how, she sees that he needs validation. And because of that, she can see his insecurities. And that he really needs to be adorned and the center of attention. But for him to be the center of attention, she has to be smaller. So that's why she feels as if, that he makes her feel small because of how much he needs to feel, because of what he lacked as a child. He's now hoping to be all of that and more based on making his wife feel less than, even if that is not his intent. And then she brings up how I feel scared for our children because they are black men and they need your best, but you are not giving them your best. And the whole time she's talking, she's crying, he's crying or whatever, and he is having to take in what his wife is being honest and saying to him. And as she was talking to him with her eyes closed, she was crying through it all. It was a moment of authenticity. I can't say the word right now, but it was an authentic moment between them to where they both were having to be open and honest. And then it may have been a long time before either of them had been that open and honest to either express their feelings or even to accept that person expressing that. And then Joe, he I had to sit in that. I had to sit in that because I know I put so much on you. And it currently makes me feel guilty and ashamed of myself. And, I want you to know that you are not alone. even though I now know that, you felt that way for a long time. I want you to be able to trust me, even though I'm learning, how to do this whole thing as a husband and a man and as a father. I want you to be able to trust in me. And they hugged and they embraced, they're both crying and everything. And I like that, even though he asked her to trust him, and she's like, I do trust his intentions. I also feel like it will take time for those intentions to become actions. And I'm like, okay, at this moment, I can forgive her for lying and saying she's from the suburbs of Detroit. Anyway, she tells Brandy to take her shoes off. Iyanla does. And, she tells them, like in ancient times, when a man wanted a woman to prove that he was, worthy of her to her father, that he would not hurt her, and abuse her in any way, he would kneel before the woman and put his head to her feet. And so that's what Joe did. And it was a cool moment for me because I felt like he understood having to bow down to your wife because you've done things that were not, fully right or whatever. And she said to him, like, you should never, ever betray her again, and making her feel like, she's less than. And I felt like that was a great moment between them. This whole 2-hour show, in my opinion, should have been split up into two. It should have been Shay and her foolishness on one part of it, and then part two was the family really accepting the help and getting it, you know what I'm saying, and taking because it's not about fixing things today. It's about giving them the tools to keep fixing it and being open to it being fixed. And I think the mama, the brothers, even now Dr. Brandy, the wife, whatever, are more open to how they can be better going forward, where Shay's still sitting around somewhere and she don't know, she on some bullshit and whatnot. So we then see the whole family come together with Shay wasn't there, and there are 3 rows of flowers. Okay, there's like a nice blooming set of flowers, some that probably been sitting for a little bit of time, saying ain't that great, and then one like dead set of flowers, and each one was a representation of each child. Joe was fully blossomed because they fully poured love, affection, and water. They watered him more than the other 2. Whereas MJ got a little bit of watering, okay, from all ends or whatever. And then the dead flowers was Shay, because Shay got less of all of that. Now, she's like, y'all keep pointing fingers, at Shay. And y'all keep doing that instead of looking at how y'all were accommodating her in her bad behavior and not even realizing how she got that way. So, y'all kind of let her in her pain because she would back y'all up with her actions. And y'all would just allow her to keep backing y'all up in her actions because that's just what it was. Y'all didn't want to, acknowledge why she was how she was. And this is the key factor in Shay not seeing the full vision of what was happening. Her vision was distorted, so while she felt like Iyanla's letting them blame me, and she wasn't, Iyanla was letting them do that so that she can then say, y'all keep blaming her, and that ain't the right thing to do. But of course Shay was just too self-absorbed to allow someone else to have a process that allowed them to realize we've been treating her bad the whole time. But that's on Shay. Anyway, y'all have to remember that Shay is not as tough and strong as you think she is. She's more broken and wounded. Her broken and wounded looks like tough and strong. So, she also, it's time for y'all to allow her to be heard. You know what I'm saying? So, y'all need to all tell her that y'all love her and what y'all are sorry that y'all have done to her. Okay, even if it's you haven't listened to her or you have not, allowed her to heal or whatever it may be, you have to apologize to her for that. And that was the whole point of Shay, is the process. But I'm going to leave that be. But she's like, look, she can't talk to me. I told y'all she crossed boundaries with me, and I'm not willing to accept that because I know how to hold boundaries with consequences, meaning she do shit and y'all let it go. And I'm like, no, she has to have some kind of consequence or whatever. So we then see Shay get there. Okay, the whole family there, whatever. And then when Shay walks in, Joe Because Iyanla told her, I know it's running. Iyanla told her that I'm going to allow Joe to run this because again she can't deal with me. And Joe say cool, but when Shay comes in and Joe opens the door for her, Shay, because he gives her a hug and a little kiss on the cheek, and she then say, "Oh, so we being nice and giving hugs and kisses now." And I'm like, see, on that bullshit. She then walk in. Now, Iyanla was sitting there when Shay first got there. And Shay then walk in and say, "Hello, family members." And that was her way of not speaking to Iyanla. Again, petty, childish behavior. Shay is still what? Full of shit. Anyway, Iyanla say, you know what? I'm going to leave you with your family because, as I said the other night, you don't get to deal with me anymore. Okay, and not as a punishment, but as a consequence of your behavior the other night. But y'all need to have this conversation. And she gets up, she leaves. First thing Shay say, "Why are my flowers dead?" And I'm like, okay. So Joe explained how, we were sitting here discussing how each of them was watered differently by mama. You know what I'm saying? But thank you for coming back. Now Joe said, like, as your brother, I have never had a deep conversation with you about life, and I assumed a lot, not knowing what you have been through. I got mad at you, not knowing you were probably dealing with a lot of pain and hurt. So please forgive me as your big brother for not, doing more. She say, "I forgive you because I'm a forgiving person." But he say, "Shay, just wait. Just listen. Just give some time and just listen." He also brings up, I need you and MJ to look at each other. MJ then say, I've had my moments of just hurting because, for us not to be talking is really hard because we are so close. But I want to tell you that I'm sorry for not being there for you. You have been through so much, for those reasons. Can you please forgive me? "I forgive you. I forgive you," is what she said. Okay. Anyway, Joe then explained to her that, when she was hurting because of times, no, he said, we need you to let us know when you hurting because at times we had no idea because you act so tough. So, we don't know sometimes. And she pointed out how, I got that from mama. I got some good things from her, but I also got that from her. And her mom then turned to her and said, "You know what, Shay, I love you. I love you. And I am so, very sorry that I abandoned you when you needed me. I was so focused on me. I forgot about you. And when you cried out for help, it made me angry. And my way of responding to the way that you called out for help was wrong. Like, I was wrong from my way in responding to your cries out, okay? And from the depths of my heart, I am so sorry for that. And, can you forgive me?" And Shay said, "I know that was hard for you to say that. So, I do forgive you." Shay then go on to say how, I can own up that my behavior was not the best and I overreact to situations, but I know, I need to work on that. However, I'm not the only one who does that. You know what I'm saying? I want to say that. Again, trying to make sure that people know I ain't the only one here the problem. And I'm like, that wasn't even their... I'm going to leave that be. So MJ brings up how, we all need to learn how to not act out, to address situations when we know we wrong, and we all need to apologize in those moments. And the mom even brought up how, I know with us, like if we're in the middle of an argument, like sometimes allow me to leave and come back later to have that conversation in a better way. Shay then said, "Well, I get that because like me and Iyanla was fussing yesterday, whatever, and I should have ignored her disrespect and walked away, but she ain't here for me to address that, so I'm gonna leave that be." And Iyanla was backstage watching in the control room, was like, "What, girl?" And she kind of let it go. And they say, well, let's just kind of, deal with something different. Let's do something different. Now, they then say, Shay, stand up. And they each come up to her and say how they don't show affection a lot. So they each come up, hug Shay, and give her a hug. So, "I love you." And I say, first of all, the way Shay dressed lets me know that she was not here for family. Who comes in a goddamn coochie showing skirt to talk and heal shit with their brothers and their mama? I'm like, Shay, out of all the clothes in America, in these American streets, this is what you chose to wear, girl. Anyway, the brothers is is better off. Joe and the wife are in counseling to help their issues and whatnot. The mom and them doing good. They say mostly everybody was happy about this, which means Shay was on some bullshit and still felt like she was ostracized because she only had a few scenes and whatnot. Shay came on the show for what? Attention or whatever. Anyway, I'm done. I hope y'all also watched part 1. It was 2 hours of footage, so I had to split this up into enough to be enough of what it is and whatnot. Anyway, love you all. Peace.